What a bully! Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. It's Rory now. On the outside.
He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Boxing quickly. Finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell. Saved by the keeper!
Burnley won it to the end! That is magnificent! They deserve that!
On by Fulton Teller, on for a hat-trick,
He's got it! Hat-trick for Nathan Teller! Oh, he's on fire at the minute! 3-0 Burnley! It's Nathan Teller's day, and Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby!
Here's Benson, and he go on the outside, comes inside, have a shot,
Oh, the goal! Manuel Benson once more! That is top class! Burnley have done it! Fantastic! Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello and welcome along to the latest instalment of the TurfCast podcast. Full-time show with me, Joe Redmond, after an impressive second half at the Bet365 Stadium ensures Burnley grab all 3 points and bring them back to Lancashire. Goals from Jay Rodriguez and Josh Brownell. I nearly forgot that, I'm not going to lie. I set myself up and was like, shit, who scored? Shit, I need to remember quickly. But yeah, a good win, a decent performance in the second half. Obviously, we'll get into that. But there's a couple of comments already coming in. Some that I want to talk about. Twin Cities Clarets says, I'd have expected a cancellation from the bronze-winning best club content creator, but never mind the silver. Yeah, there it is, mate. You can see it there. But yeah, sorry about that. I do want to just say sorry, by the way. Like the scenario was, because there was somebody up here who said, obviously, there we go. Clarets 1882. He says, seriously, Joe, you can't just cancel the stream at short notice because your hairstylist can't do your hair for the show. All these podcast awards are turning you into a right diva. Basically, right, what happened was, obviously, I'm bombing it home, all legal speed, obviously. I'm making sure I'm getting home within good time. And I get home, and I had to push it back originally to 8:15, didn't I? And I'm thinking, 8:15 will be fine. Because I got in at like 7:45, and like, it just gives me time to set up and stuff, and I can go. And at like 8:05, I got a text message from somebody where I work from home, not the place where I go to work, where I work from home. He's like, mate, you've not logged on. Why have you not logged on? I'm like, what you want about? He's like, you meant to start work 10 minutes ago. I'm like, fuck. So I had to quickly at the last minute cancel it. So I nearly got sacked, everybody. I might still get sacked yet. We'll see. I might get a message tomorrow, but we'll see. Parachute payments are back, says Harry. Yes. Ben Gibson's been crying about that, hasn't he? We'll quickly get into some of the comments, and then I'll introduce the lads. Obviously, they needed no introduction, but John Payne says, full credit to Parker at the moment. I back him to make some signings in January. Scott O'Sullivan says, evening all, another win. Excuse me, I've just wolfed my tea down, so if you see me burping and stuff, that's why. Another win, another 3 points, and another clean sheet. It's getting boring now. Hold on a minute, mate. But yeah, Bell differs. What a name that is. No, but it's okay because of the weather. We blame Andrew. I've seen some of them, mate. Andrew, the weather. I didn't even go to town on the graphics, mate. I thought I'll leave it off because it got a lot of stick on there. And you're still getting it. You're still getting it. Scott O'Sullivan says, Andrew's a fair weather fan. Evening, said Andrew. Evening. Evening, says Claret Blue. Evening. Evening, says Jacob. Harriet, what's all this about? I started it bang on 9 o'clock this time. Bang on 9 o'clock. I maybe 1 minute afterwards. I'm not sure. But yeah, keep your comments in. Let me know what you're watching. Kids are up, Ginger. Come on, mate. Kids are up. Mine actually is, to be fair. I need to send mother a text message and be like, come on, get into bed. I'm busy. Yeah, let me know what you're watching. I've seen the American Clarets, one of the main American Clarets on Twitter saying he's watching from Colorado. I've seen Andrew Ayrshire Claret saying he's watching from Turkey. Good morning from Australia, says John Tanamira? Juan, not John. Juan Tanamira. So, yeah. Evening, lads. Far better than watching I'm a Celeb. what can I say? TurfCast is better than I'm a celeb. Definitely. Anyway, I've been waffling on for 6 minutes. I've not even introduced everybody. As you can see, I am joined by Mr. Reliable Andrew. No matter what time of day, no matter when it is, Andrew is here. Even yesterday, I was like, I need to push it back 15 minutes. You were like, that's fine. I was like, I need to cancel it. Can you do tomorrow at 9? You were like, that's fine. I was like, yeah, I could do a stream at 4 a.m. in the morning. Andrew was like, that's fine. But yeah, Andrew, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Glad the weather's all right. So, but yeah, I'm always free, don't you? So,
yeah, I do. Minneapolis says Twin
none
Cities
for the weather.
Clarets. I love the fact that people watch us from all over the world. Glorious Nelson, mate. Nelson's a part of the world. Glorious isn't an adjective I'd use, but I'm only messing, mate. And Nathan as well. The long-awaited return of Nathan. How are we doing, my friend?
I'm very well. It's good to be back on. Yeah, I've had a hiatus for a while, family stuff, work stuff. Yeah, been a busy time, but yeah, good to be back on. The show. TurfCast is booming. Silver award-winning TurfCast is booming. So hopefully my return, we can get that first spot now. So yeah.
Yeah, fingers crossed. There's a comment gone. It's already on screen. I've already put it on screen. Raj Sharma does say, great to see Nathan back. Yeah, it is.
Cheers, Raj.
Hopefully he's calmed down because some of the fan reactions we were getting were a bit more. But I'm going to press him on it. We will be asking. Will Varley says, evening, lads. Leo Caldecott, Mr. I can't be asked to respond to text messages, says, evening, lads. I'm from Nelson. Sorry, John, I wasn't slagging Nelson off. I was just having a laugh, mate. But Will Varley says, evening, lads. Scott O'Sullivan says, Andrew is like Esteve. He's always there when you need it. There you go, Andrew. That's better. It's better than being called.
I will take that. I will take that.
Whose name I won't mention again. Operation New Tree Weatherman. But yeah, Esteve is better. Kieran Phillips is in the chat as well. Evening, Kieran. Good to see you again, mate. Glyn Wilson says, evening, chats from Cambridgeshire. Right, let's get into the game then. Andrew, I'll start with you. Go in screen order. Thoughts on the game, please, yesterday, mate?
Very much a game of, I'll say very much a game of two halves. Like the first half was a bit same as what we've seen all season, a little bit slow, a little bit, passive. But I thought the second half, I've said it every week, for the last few weeks, but I thought second half were probably one of the best performances we've put in. That were the sort of Burnley that I want to see. We played some really nice football. I mean, the move for J Rod's goal, I'm sure we'll be getting into it, but like that goal was one of the best goals I've seen us score. Obviously, it's J Rod, so I'm well happy with it as well. But yeah, just overall a really, really good game. Now, I really enjoyed it. Like I know we've said a lot this season, like it's been boring at times and not a lot, not that entertaining. But I honestly really, really enjoyed watching it yesterday.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, mate. I do think the first half, I wouldn't even say, I've seen some people say we were second best in the first half. I won't go that far. I think Stoke had the best chances, but we were in control of that. No, that in control is the wrong word. Some people have likened it to the first half at Coventry. I disagree with that. I think against Coventry, we were completely in control. Coventry didn't lay a glove on us. With Stoke, it was a bit end-to-end. I think it was probably a bit even, but Stoke had the better chances. Whereas against Coventry, we were completely in control. But that second half absolutely blew them away. Obviously, the early goal helped. I think Nathan or somebody alluded to it on a fan reaction not long ago that you need an early goal. And if you don't get it as a Scott Parker side, then sometimes it can become a little bit hard work. But thankfully, in these two games where we have won 2-0, they've got the goal early in the second half rather than early in the first half. So it just prevents any of the nerves creeping in as the second half goes on. But yeah, completely agree, Andrew. I think that the way we played in that second half is exactly how I want Burnley to play. I know Parker gets a lot of criticism for his style of play, but that second half is exactly how I want us to play. Strong at the back, good in the attack. Burnley's going to the Premier League. No, but yeah, it just good all round. That second half were perfect. Like that's exactly what you want to see. Like I said, Trafford were good, Esteve were good, CJ Egan Riley were good. The wingers were good in the second half. Less said about their performance in the first half. The midfield got more control of the game as well. I just think ultimately all round it were a brilliant performance in that second half. Nathan, your thoughts on the game, please, mate?
Yeah, I think it just echoes what Andrew said, really. It was a game of two halves. I thought, I did have, when I was watching it, I did think I thought, oh god, here we go again. It looked like one of them 0-0 performances where we just couldn't seem to get out of second gear, and we couldn't seem to break Stoke down. And like I say, thought Stoke were probably unlucky not to maybe pinch a goal in the first half. I thought we gave them a couple of opportunities, and thankfully, they're not, teams in this league at the minute aren't as clinical as we've been expected. We've been seeing, last season. So I wouldn't say we got away with it in the first half, but I thought if Stoke had a bit more about them, I thought they could have probably not punish is probably the right word, but not a stronger word, but they could have got that goal and made it a bit tasty for the second half. But like I said, I think I said in my fan reaction that if we don't get an early goal, I think it can run away from us. The games do look like they can run away from us, but they came out in the second half like that. It was just unbelievable. Like, this came straight out of the traps, and they look like completely different team to start with the second half. So, like I said, the wingers got a lot higher, a lot more direct. Roberts got a bit more advanced. He weren't doing that in the first half, and like Cullen just had another one of his amazing games that he made all the difference in that second half. And like I say, it wasn't like a rampant dominant performance in terms of passing and stats, but it was just a lot more positive, and I think that's where this squad is at its best, when it's positive. I know we're obviously very defensively solid, but I think when we're at our very best and looking the best and getting the best results, it's when Burnley are the most positive, and when that handbrake sort of gets not fully released, but sort of half released, and Scott Pocket seems to just let them go a little bit. But yeah, on the whole, thought it was a decent, perfect all round sort of away performance. Really, go get the 3 points and get away.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Some good comments coming in. Farmers League says John Payne. I don't know if that's related to something else, to be fair. Roberts was brilliant, says Fly over Fred. He was that, especially in the second half. I mean, he was good at first half as well, to be fair. There was one moment where I lost it, to be fair, at Roberts. It was when they had that shot in the first half that Trafford saved, and I think he kind of or it might have been the Esteve block, I can't remember, and it went towards Roberts, and I thought he got caught flat-footed. So I'm like, what are you effing doing, Roberts? Come on. And then they got that back either way. I watched it back online later, and I'm like, he's actually done quite well. He's got his body in the way there and tried to buy a foul, and I think he's put him off. So apologies, Connor, for shouting at you there. Not that he heard me. But yeah, Connor was brilliant. I do agree with that, Fred. Andrew, apologies, Nathan. This tends to go over the bottom person's face when I do this. Some may say it's an improvement, but I would disagree. Andrew Turmo says, very relaxed start. Second half, we moved up a gear and killed it off. I believe we didn't play to our full potential and could have switched it up another gear, but it wasn't necessary, so they didn't. I kind of agree with that. I felt like we were going forward with a bit more attacking threat in that second half, but I'm not even sure if it's a case of we didn't want to go up a gear, just maybe still not fully clicked yet. I'm not so sure. John Payne's become a new member. Shout out to John Payne. Thank you for that, John. If you do want to become a YouTube channel member, you can do that. It's in, if you're watching on the browser, it is in down near the subscribe button. If you're watching on the mobile, if you go into the description of the video, it's on there. Just click that. You get benefits such as early release on the pre-game show. And I've been saying this for ages, but when TurfCast finally does Turf merch, which is what the brand's going to be called, there you go. There's a bit of insight for you all. Then you will get discount on that as well. But yeah, keep your comments coming in. Can't drop J at the moment, says Simon Fisher. I agree with that, but I do worry at the fact that so many games at such an age, I'm talking like he's old, he's younger than me, will end up catching up with him. Foster is going to take 8 to 10 matches to get back to full speed. By that time, JL being full swing. Flyover Fred says that's the difference between the league. 6 goals conceded, 18 would be the other way around in the Prem. I've obviously got the stats on screen. I've not had a chance to mention him yet. So just to show the disparity between the first half and the second, that's my plan. Watch this. There won't be too much. But these are the full game stats. So you've got 2.51 for Burnley's XG there. I know some people don't like the XG stat, but, you know, that's quite high compared to Stoke's 0.77. So that's, my maths is awful. So that's more than 3 times theirs. So that just shows how good we were. I'm not sure how well you can see that, but our possession was 56%. Goal attempts 16, which is quite a lot for us. And we only managed 4 on target. A few of them were a little bit pot shots. But anyway, let's have a look at the first half. There you go. Look at that first half. Stoke had 0.58 XG in the first half, whereas we had 0.25. Possession was even. Goal attempts and shots on target, they outforced us. But then look at that in the second half. There it is. There's 2.26. Because obviously we got the 2 goals. Jay's would have been a very high XG, to be fair. And obviously Anthony had the chance where he got clattered by the goalkeeper and things like that. So, yeah, we've mentioned sort of like the disparity between the 2 halves. And Nathan, I'll come to you. I think you're all right. Yeah, I just seen you looking over your shoulder, that's all. I'll come to you first because you did mention that. What do you think was different? Because I'll be honest, at half-time, I was a bit frustrated. I remember thinking and saying, and I think I even tweeted it, sort of like saying, maybe time for a change. I'll admit, I picked on Jay a little bit. I said, might be time to take Jay off because he was isolated, to be fair, in that first half. Not necessarily his fault. I just thought that maybe it had been like a one game too many this week. So I was saying maybe take Jay off, maybe take one of the wingers off. But then we came out in the second half. There were no subs made, but we were so much different. But you've alluded to the fact that you think the fullbacks were told to push on a little bit more. They definitely did. Do you think that's what Parker said?
I think so. I think in the first half, it was more of sort of 4 of our players going in on every attack, and then it became sort of a 6. The fullback sort of got involved a bit more. I know Connor Roberts tried to get forward, and he tucked into midfield. Not necessarily in the middle, but he tucked in a little bit, sort of inside of Anthony, which sort of almost meant that he had to pull another defender over from Stoke. But I think it was the sort of bit more numbers going forward that sort of helped with the bit of an overload. But then what they'd stopped doing was pumping the ball centrally into the box. I think in the first half we put a lot into the centre of the box for Jay to attack, but it just wasn't sort of sticking. And then what happened then, the change became that the ball then went, which basically the goal came from, where it went, a nice passing move, and then it went straight over the top to the back post to then come back across the goal, which I think that sort of I think we shifted Stoke a lot better and a lot quicker, which just turned them around, and they just got themselves in knots and couldn't really deal with it in the second half. And I think the other thing was just tempo. The tempo was just night and day from first half to second half. The tempo and the passing was just so much sharper, so much quicker. Cullen became that metronome that he used to be, that he would just, everything would just into Cullen. Cullen would just feeding it, just popping it around. And when he does that, it really does make a massive difference. And I think if we can keep doing that, I think it'll really benefit us going forward.
Yeah, I do feel that our upturn in form has coincided with Cullen's upturn in form. I think I mentioned it on the full-time show last week, or in one of the fan reactions. He's now getting the ball on the half turn. He used to get the ball with his back to goal, back facing where we're shooting, so facing Trafford, and then just pass it backwards. And yes, he's still trying to be the engine room and still trying to make us tick, but it's not positive. It's just negative football, going backwards all the time. I don't know what it is. I don't know if Parker's had a word with him or he's just got a bit of confidence and then obviously starts to play a bit more. But he's now wanting to get the ball on the half turn. And like you said, if he's getting the ball on the half turn and he's being that engine room, he's keeping it ticking, but he's keeping it ticking in a positive way. And I think Cullen, he was fantastic for us, obviously, as everybody knows, in the title winning season a couple of years ago, obviously culminating in winning the Championship Player of the Season. But as Flyover Fred says there, Cullen being Pete Cullen is huge for us. It really, really is. And I think him being so good again at the minute is why we are doing so well. And Russell Mercer says Cullen and Lauren need to be our centre mids. I agree with that. But then obviously you've got an issue at number 10. I did see a comment earlier on from Kieran. I don't want to go into the bashing players sort of thing. But Kieran sort of like referring to the fact that Brownhill wasn't there. To be fair to Brownhill, he did well when he came on, but when he came on, I think he was playing a bit higher forward than he has been doing this season, because sometimes he's obviously gets caught in the DM role or something like that, which is not where he's at his best. But then obviously you've got an issue in the 10 or the box to box role later on if we have Brownhill, because then we've got Brownhill, we've got Fleming, so it's going to be interesting to see what we do. We've obviously got Hannibal as well. So yeah, Andrew, I'll come to you next. Your thoughts then? Why do you think the second half was so much better for Burnley? Obviously, just cast your mind back to the stats and how much better it was for us when I showed it you. Then obviously just dominant in that second half.
Yeah, it seemed. Excuse me. It seemed to be a lot more progressive, like wanting to go forward, whereas the first half seemed to be a lot of like, all right, we were passing it round, but we were passing it round the back. There didn't seem to be a lot of intent to go forward, whereas the second half, it were almost like every time we got the ball, we wanted to go forward. And I know we said like about how the tempo increased, you know, and the passes were getting a bit sharper and stuff, but I think they also took the moment, like I've said it many a time, where there are moments to go direct, there are moments to, you know, try and take your man on. And I feel like they took those moments yesterday. So, like, you look at the first goal, Roberts takes like a touch and then he takes a second before he whips it in the box. Like, we've not been doing that. We've been rushing things. Like, especially in the first half, it seemed like we were rushing everything. Whereas in the second half, seemed like we were taking our time to actually try and go forward. And that's what obviously ended up happening in the second half. And yeah, second half, we were just completely dominant, weren't we?
Yeah, we were dominant. That is probably the best word to describe it. We were just so much better. But I do agree with Flyover Fred. But I think, Nathan, you make a point with the fullbacks, and I think that then in turn obviously helps the wingers. It pushes them further up the pitch. Big difference second half was the wingers. They took players on too. Nathan, I do want to come to you on Anthony, because he's a player that people have criticised in the past before. But again, he's another one. Like, we're sitting here and talking about Cullen, who has been fantastic over the last few games. I'm not denying that. Obviously, I brought that up. But Anthony's been another one as well, hasn't he? He seemed to start to really come into his own now, and it looks like not that he didn't look like he belonged, but it looks like he's part of that team now, and he knows his job, and he's showing his quality, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's ultimately Parker's boy. You can see that a mile off. When the way Parker talks about him, he knows that there's the abilities in that player that it needs unlocking. And like I say, if most people probably do know, he's had a pretty torrid couple of years, just in personal, sense, and it's hard to sort of bounce back and get back to your best after stuff like that. So it's always going to take time. And I think one thing that as a club we do well is we do let loan players settle in, and we do make them feel like they're at home. So I think that's now showing throughout the season. I feel like he's settled. He's getting a good run of games, and he's looking positive now. And he's getting better and better by each game. I do wish sometimes he would just have a shot a bit more. Like sometimes he does frustrate me. He does everything right. He gets in the right positions, or he just chooses maybe not to play that killer ball, or have a shot, or just have a try, just take a bit of a risk and a bit of a gamble. And I think if he does that, he might see himself getting a couple more goals, really, or a couple of assists. But from this weekend, I thought he was brilliant this weekend. He was a lot more direct, and he was taking players on, and he's being smart with his, probably just contradicting myself here, but he's being smart with his decision making. He sort of running it into the corner at times and just letting play get with him, and bringing players in and around him. So, but yeah, I like Jadon Anthony. He's a tiny little player. He's a clever player, and like I said, the only criticism I just want him to have a few more shots, because I think he could see himself get quite a few more goals.
Yeah, fair enough. There's a good debate in the comments, so I'll bring that up. And if you are watching on YouTube, now I've got a bigger screen. I've done a poll. On YouTube, so it's going down very slowly. But the question is, would you play Hannibal against Middlesbrough? We've had 13 votes, so it's interesting because, well, I'll get your opinions in a minute. I like Hannibal, but just quickly find the comment now. Where's it gone? There it is, from Clarets 1882. Hannibal has to start against Borough on Friday instead of Loren. That game will suit him more. I understand your logic there, Claret. I do understand the logic. Hannibal did well against Leeds, but I think that's an away game. I think we are now growing in confidence, and I think the owners should be on us to take the game to them. And I feel like, I don't know, I'm probably going to end up getting slated here, but I'd probably play somebody like Brownhill, depending in that 10, if Fleming's not available. I would love to see Fleming in that 10 behind Jay, a proper striker with a proper number 10, and then maybe Loren and Cullen. But I won't be dropping Loren at the minute. I think he's been in fantastic form. And again, you can't drop Cullen. The midfield has suddenly, since we've changed it around a bit, and since we've brought in Loren and Cullen's hit form, it suddenly started clicking. The midfield looks good now. And for me, I wouldn't personally change it. So for me, I wouldn't play Hannibal against Borough. I do like Hannibal. I do feel like it's horses for courses, though. think he suits different games. So I do understand. I can see your logic behind that. But not for me. I feel like don't change a winning midfield. Jacob says, agree, we do need aggression versus Borough and the non-stop running. Andrew says, we can't forget Hannibal, though. Impacts every appearance. He's getting better too. So little time last match, but still bossed it, went on. Loving Jadon Anthony too. Just getting more opinion. Here we go. Phil says, no way, Hannibal. Better to come on later. Same team as Stoke rewarded. That'd be my opinion. I'd play the same team as Stoke. Maybe get Pires back in because obviously Pires didn't start. I thought Humphreys did an okay job, especially in the second half, but in the first half, there were moments where I was thinking Pires gives us more going forward, and I felt like that might have been part of the reason why we weren't going forward so much. Andrew Turmore says, need Hannibal's physical presence against a team that will try and bully us off the pitch. The ref will have a busy night. Will he will if Hannibal's playing? Yeah. Will Varley says, yes, stop putting Fleming up front. I agree with that, but I feel like he's only been playing there because of the injuries. We'll see what Parker wants to do with that, because as Simon Fisher says, does Parker see Fleming as a 10 though? Only at Hull he's played there again. I think that's because of the injuries. Anyway, I'll come to you, boys. Andrew, you first. The poll is on screen right now. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, you will be able to see it, Andrew. Would you play Hannibal against Borough? 56%, so it is close, to be fair, as saying no. What would you do, mate?
Not at the moment, because I do like Hannibal. I really like Hannibal, and the last few games where he has come on, he's been, yes, Murphy. Shout out to Murphy. Last few games where Hannibal has come on, I have been impressed with him, and I've been really impressed with his energy as well. Like, we know he's always going to work hard and put like 110% into it and just be a shithouse like he always is. But I think you can't change that midfield from yesterday. And if you are going to change it, you need to bring either Fleming in as the 10 or Brownhill in and save Hannibal for later on in the game. Like, we need to be aggressive, yeah, but we don't need to be going down to 10 men early in the game. And I feel like Middlesbrough will focus on Hannibal if we start him. So, yeah, as much as I like him, as well as I think he has played, you can't change the team from yesterday as of yet. Unless there's injuries, obviously.
Yep, sorry, I was muted. But yeah, fair enough. I do agree with that. I would change it slightly. You did allude to there, if Fleming's available and he wants to play him in the 10, I would try that. But actually, no, I don't think I would. Sarmiento played quite well in the 10. And I do want to actually chat about Sarmiento. We'll get on. I completely forgot about Sarmiento. So everything I said in that last bit, completely eradicate it. It's all bollocks. Sarmiento played well yesterday. But we'll get on to individuals in a minute. Nathan, obviously just your response to the Hannibal against Borough, please, mate. I presume it's a no from you, considering to your earlier response. No,
it's a no from me, because I like Hannibal because he plays on the edge, and I like players that play on the edge. I think it's important to have in a title charge. Let's be honest. I think it's important to have players that do play on the edge and have that bit about him. But I think Friday night against Borough, like, it's going to be best defence against best attack, and I think having someone like Hannibal in that probably will press a bit more than he should do in a game like this. Not really bothered about his disciplinary record. I think it might just leave us a little bit exposed in midfield. That's my concern. But then also, he has been in recent games playing very, very on the edge, where Parker has had to sort of give him a little cuddle and say, calm down, you nutter. You can't go around he just wants to. I would say he don't want to go around fighting everyone. He just wants to, like, start something, doesn't he? He just wants to make something happen, which is, like I say, it's good to see, and it's horses for courses. And I just don't think Middlesbrough at home, in the run of form they're on, and I don't want to jeopardise the run of form we're on, just because Hannibal might put a couple of meaty challenges in and get people off the seat. Like, I'm with you, Joe. I do think Brownhill should be back in that team against Middlesbrough. I think he's a lot of people, probably think he's a bit boring and a bit, sometimes backwards. But again, a game like Borough, it's a tough game. This, like, we need all the experienced heads in this, the experience in this division on that pitch to play, to play sensibly, basically, to keep us in the game for as long as possible, and keep that sort of defensive solidity and composure that we need. And I think Hannibal might just I don't know, he might tip the scales the wrong way for us on Friday.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Excuse me, Scott Parker did allude to something a couple of weeks ago. It might have been after the Coventry game, actually, or I can't remember. That Hannibal can sometimes bring a bit of energy by doing what he does, and then that transpires into the stadium, and then that transpires back into the pit. So if it's a bit flat, a player like Hannibal can help. But in the first 45 minutes, it shouldn't be flat. We should be going for it, and we shouldn't really need him. Murphy Brown, who is Andrew's biggest fan, says Hannibal will cause goals. He presses too high. Starting to like this Nathan guy. Well, there you go, Nathan. Murphy Brown likes you two. I'm not sure he likes me just yet. He did give me some stick in the last full-time show, but I can't remember what it were about. Sui says he has a lot of passion. He's like Masengo's passion for Burnley, but Hannibal does it on the pitch and not on Instagram. Flyover Fred says Brown incrementally underappreciated by too many. You know me, mate. I do agree. I do agree with that one. But I know there's a lot of people in the chat that don't.
It's like what you said. If it's 0-0, sort of going into like 70th minute, like I don't want us to sit there and just take a point at home. Like I'm not being funny. That we have to go win the game. Like if it's 0-0, 70th minute, I think Hannibal coming on is that. I'm not saying he don't get bums off seats because he's going to take on 20 players, but he will put in a challenge. He'll throw himself about and just mix it up a little bit if we have to go and win the game. But from the minute one, I think that it may cause a few problems to start with. So I think same recipe as Stoke. I think sit tight, keep it sensible, maybe a little bit boring Burnley, and then see how the game progresses.
Yeah, it's quite funny actually because I was on TikTok. By the way, Kieran Phillips, if you are still in the chat, I have seen your comment about Rovers tickets, and I will mention that at the end of the stream. So we will discuss the Rovers ticket situation at the end of the stream. I just want to do the Stoke game first. I can't remember what I was saying now. That's right. I was looking on TikTok the other day and I was scrolling through and it came up something from, Sporting Life. I think they're like a branch of Sky Bet that do certain sort of like stuff online. And they were going around the studio and they were like, what do you think of Burnley, lads? And one guy went, I hate Scott Parker. I'd hate his style of football. I hate everything about him. He's just an awful, awful manager and that. And then it panned to this other guy and went, hate's harsh. I think they'll be there or thereabouts, but maybe Scott Parker could take the shackles off a little bit, which is probably the most sensible comment you'll get from this. Some other guy were like, I think Burnley will finish outside the top 6, I think he said. And I just thought, what is this guy? There's absolutely no chance. And then this other guy who I used to work with, and I am actually, probably was good friends with him back in the day. I've not actually spoken to him since we both went our separate ways, but it was a really nice lad, was just like dull, incredibly dull. He's called Tom. So if you guys have seen that, I used to work with Tom back in the day over at Radio Yorkshire. And Murphy, you said it, not me. You said it, not me. But it just seems to be that's the thing that people say, isn't it? And I'm not particularly sure. I do get the football can sometimes be a bit slow, but I don't get this hatred that other people have for Scott Parker. Our own fans, I don't necessarily mind it too much because you're watching it. You have to pay to watch it. If that's your opinion, that's fair enough. But why does a random guy from Sporting Life hate him? I'll never get it. But that obviously brings me nicely onto the Scott Parker debate. I'll start with you, Nathan, for obvious reasons on this one. Obviously, you've not done a full-time show for a while.
No.
But you'd have been sending some fan reactions in. And I think there was, to be fair, it was the best one that you did in terms of numbers. Where you just said, this is proper turgid. I think the headline for it was, I'll just quickly try and find it now. It's here now. After the Millwall game, to be fair, it's after the defeat. But I remember you saying, I'm not going to put it on screen and stuff now, but I remember you saying it was awful football and that. And then you didn't send one in after the West Brom game. You didn't send one in after the Swansea game, but then you did send one in after the Bristol City game, a bit happier. But you said it just feels a bit Southgate, which... I kind of agreed with before he was our manager, but now I'm watching him play. And now now I see his vision, which is obviously what you said. After the Coventry game, you said this is so much better, and then recently you have said I'm starting to see his vision. So, what are your thoughts at the minute? Because I don't know if you were Parker in or Parker out at the time, but you was quite negative about him. But what are your thoughts on the Parker in, Parker out debate at the minute, mate?
I mean, at the very beginning, I wasn't very enamoured by the Parker in thing. I just wasn't. I don't know. It just never really sort of got me excited, and I don't know that I doesn't. I don't think I'm on my own in that view at the start of the season, and I just sort of let him be and just see. And then I discredited basically the whole of August and September because we had the massive turmoil, and then
Yeah.
it just never, and then it just never seemed to sort of pick up quick enough for my liking anyway. Like, but it's weird because we're now second in the league, and I always worried that in these sort of championship seasons, if you're not picking up points early doors, you can get sort of left behind. But we were obviously picking up points when we were playing pretty naff. So I think I was sort of getting more worked up on the style of play. So we're paying money to watch this, and we've been spoiled. We were definitely spoiled last championship season by watching some really nice stuff. And when you sat there and it's freezing and it's just crap, and Oxford, but Plymouth have come to town and they've just made us look like a bunch of idiots that are never going to score for anything. And and same with the Rovers game was a big frustration for me. Like they were absolutely shocking with Rovers, and we matched them for how bad we were that day. We just looked devoid of all creativity, and I think that did help. But anyway, the past few games have got progressively better, and it's probably cliche to say, but I think it has clicked, and I hate saying it. I feel like it has, and I think the key players have now clicked, like your Cullen, your Loren, you obviously Esteban, CJ. The spine, every title-winning team has a spine, doesn't it? And Trafford's playing all right. The two centre halves playing all right. Your midfielders are playing really fine. Yeah, so I'm slowly seeing where we're going with Parker. I still have doubts long term. I've said to you, when we met up, Joe, like, I still have doubts long term for Parker. I don't think he's the long term solution for Burnley. Personally, I think he's proven that he gets out of this division. He's also proven that he doesn't stay in that division. So it's what do people stand by? They keep telling me that, oh yeah, he's a proven winner of this division, but in the same hand, he's also proven that he cannot stay in that other division. He can't stay in the Premier League. So what do people die on? Which sword do they die on? They're getting out of the division or they're staying in the Premier League? And that's where I'm stuck with at the minute. I'm stuck in between the two. So that's my honest assessment. And I know probably a lot of people will probably take the mick and whatever. And we're second in the league and I'm spitting my toys, throwing my toys out of the pram. But I'm not, because I'll say short term, he's ticking the boxes. He's getting us up, it seems. But I still don't buy into the long term thing as a project, if I'm being truly honest.
Yeah, I see what you're saying about where do we land? I think getting out of this league's the most important thing in terms of the long-term future of the club. So I think for me, get us up. If we lose the first 5 games, pot him. Don't learn from the same mistake as we did last time with company. That'd be my opinion. Andrew, I know you were never Parker out, and I think we were on stream together with Dan, who does or did the TikTok stuff. And he was saying, I remember him and Sam not arguing, but having like a decent debate, because Sam were like, give him more time. And he were like, well, we know it's not working, so get rid of him now. And I think you kind of agreed with me and Sam, so like saying, give him more time. Presume you're obviously still of that ilk and still thinking we need to give him more. He doesn't need more time anymore because it's obviously clicked or gelled. But feeling pretty happy with how it's going at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, my issue with how we were doing, obviously we were getting the results, but it were just a bit naff to watch at times. I think I'm probably a lot more easily pleased than Nathan, where I weren't that bored. So I weren't overly upset. But I think everyone can sort of see where we are now and how it has improved. I'm hoping this isn't it, that it's clicked and clicked and that this is as good as we're going to get, because I can't see this being as good as we're going to get. I'm sure we're going to get better. But we're on 1st of December. We're second in the league. I agree with Nathan. I do have reservations about if we do get promoted, how he's going to do in the Premier League. But I also do sort of have more faith in him than if we had company still for next season. I've got more faith in Parker than I would have company. He's learned a bit. He's had a few years out of football to develop and grow. So hopefully that does help him as well. But yeah, he's got nothing but my backing now until at least the end of the season, and then we'll see where we go from there, because we've only lost 2 games. We've only conceded 6 goals. We're second in the league. and we're still not playing as brilliantly
Literally
as we can.
Everything at the minute is positive. I know football fans are fickle, and if we lose against Middlesbrough, that'll change. But when you look at the stats, where we are in the league, how we've conceded, obviously we could still be scoring more goals, but it's not even that bad in terms of goal scoring anymore, because obviously the last 2 games have helped with getting 4 goals. But I agree with you, Andrew, and hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I think we would be in a better place getting promoted with Parker than what we were with Company. And all right, I look like a prick saying that, because I was saying under Company we'll finish 11th, and obviously that ended up being horrendously wrong. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. I saw the way he did it. Parker wouldn't be selfish and play a style that suits his brand, which I think ultimately has been proven. That's all Company was bothered about was brand Vincent. As Tom says there, I think Parker would do better in the Premier than Company did 100%. Yeah. I agree. I think me and you could, Tom, to be fair. I think in the end that season was awful, wasn't it? Yeah. But the team spirit Parker has managed to get in the side is pretty incredible. And the players clearly like him. I could see it yesterday when it were a bit not awkward, but I felt a bit sorry for him at one point, because when we're all doing the right thing, some players would do it, and Parker was just at the end sort of like clapping, and like there was one point where he sort of like put his head down and like sort of like twirled his foot, like proper cartoon character sad sort of vibes. And Browner went up to him, was like, "Go on," and he's like egging him on, and then he went and did it, and I'm like, "Yeah, I love that."
This is the thing I really like about him. Like he did this at Luton at the start of the season, and he's sort of done it every game since. He seems very humble, and he seems almost like it's not about him, it's about the team and the squad that he's put together, and the players are out there. They're the ones who are scoring the goals, and it's not about him. Whereas we've gone from Megamind, where everything was about Vincent Kompany. It was Vincent Kompany. Whereas we've got Scott Parker, who's he just seems very quiet and humble, and I just love it. Like, I like it at the start of the match when you see the players warming up and training. He's out there with the players warming up and training. He's actually there. It's very, I don't know, I feel like, I know a lot of people have said about, the connection. I don't have the same connection with these players as I had with those players. No, I probably don't have the same connection, but they do all seem like
I feel closer to them now. Now we've won some games in a row. I do feel close. Football fans are fickle, of course we are, but now we've won a few games. Like, I sat here on so many shows last season, and I said it in my full-time reaction. I stand by some of the things I said last season about James Trafford, which ultimately some people give me stick for. I just said it was a step too far, and because of that, and because of the way he was on Instagram and all them sort of things, I didn't feel a connection with him. Now I do, because he's playing well. It's that simple, and he looks like he cares. And it's a similar thing with the rest of him. I do now feel a connection with them, probably just because we're doing well and we've won 4 games. It probably is that simple.
Yeah, it is that simple. Like I said, you look at that team last season in the Championship under VK, like, you can rattle off every name on that team sheet because it's good. When it's good, it's good. And that's football. That doesn't matter. And I remember the reason why we connected with Dash's teams as well. I know I hate going back to them times, but it's because when it was good, it was good. And, you can, that's why Dean Marnie comes again on the Tuesday night and he gets the biggest cheer of the frigging night at half time. You know what I mean? Like, when it's good, it's good. And it's easy to get a good relationship when it's going well. It's just when it isn't going well, I think that becomes an issue. But like I said, what you said, Andrew, go on.
No, I was just going to say, you look at like the way that the team are together as well. Like last season, you wouldn't have seen James Trafford run the full length of the pitch to celebrate us scoring a goal. He's done that the last 2 games in a row. He did it for CJ and he did it for Brownhill yesterday. Yeah. Like, you wouldn't have seen that last season. No. The whole togetherness looks like we're getting back to what Burnley is. It's not players who just want to play for Vincent Kompany. Exactly. It's players who want to play for Burnley. And that's what I like about Parker the most, is he's brought us them players back.
That was the most important thing. And no, it's fine. That was the most. I was going to go to that. It was like we've got rid of the mercenaries. That's what it feels like. The mercenaries have gone, either on loan or permanent. They've gone. The VK fanboys, they've gone. So they're here because they want to play they want to have a crack at the Championship and win the league. That's why they're here. So you can see that it's running through the team, and yeah, like I say, I'm still in that mishmashy, muddled up camp about Parker, but it's hard to sort of doubt him when he's picking up results like this. And like I say, we've got one of the best defensive records this league's ever seen so far in the league. So it is hard not to sort of tip your cap at him.
Yeah, Paul O'Neill says gap between the Premier and Championship is massive. Parker is a decent manager who isn't up his own backside. I'll say that word instead, Paul, because I got shouted at for swearing earlier. Give him a break. The majority of us here, all of us, I think, are backing him here now, to be fair. And I've been quite strong on it as well. Like when people were losing the Reds against Middlesbrough after the Middlesbrough game, I was saying, no, it's far too early. It's far too early. John Tanamora, that's your new nickname now, by the way, mate. That's it. It's stuck now. You're called John. He says Parker definitely deserves more credit. He had the rug pulled from under him after 2 games. I think that if that had happened to Company, he would have walked. Interestingly, I am doing some stuff in Manchester tomorrow, filming for some company. I won't mention the name on here just in case it ruins the algorithm. But I think this is going to be the debate. I think it's with a Middlesbrough fan or something like that. I can't remember, but it's going to be a part of it's going to be about Parker, and that's a big thing that I think a lot of people outside of Burnley don't think about, the fact that the squad, and I don't necessarily think like the way he had the rug pulled from under him, because that makes it sound like it was the chairman's fault, and to some degree, I think they could have handled it better. But if players don't want to play for us, then there's not really much you can do. So I do agree with that. And I think the way that was handled by Parker was incredible. Sarmiento, we're already at 48 minutes. And I was thinking, I remember when we're after 20 minutes, I'm thinking, where am I going to get the next 40 minutes from? But now we're struggling for time. I said I wanted to talk about individuals. Sarmiento, I'm picking him out. Andrew, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts on his performance yesterday, please, mate? Because in that first half, when some of them wingers weren't getting into the game, Sarmiento, I know he was playing in sort of like the 10 role, so he's not a winger, but he looked like the only one that was trying to make things happen, and he was getting a bit of stick at half time. But I was backing him and thinking he was decent, and a lot of people, I think, in the end agree with it. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. What were your thoughts on him, please, mate?
Yeah, no, I thought he played really well. I've been really glad to see him come back into the side. Obviously, I know that he didn't play the other week because he just got back from international duty. But yeah, I was really impressed with him. I thought he played really well. Obviously, second half he got a lot better. But yeah, I do. I'm really pleased with him. And like we were saying before about bringing Hannibal into the team or changing it up, I'd forgotten about Sarmiento as well. I'd probably like to see him play again because I think he did the same against Coventry.
He did very well. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and he did the same against Coventry. Like, he'll get the ball on one side and he will keep going, pushing forward. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with him, really pleased with him. I just thought he's only on loan as well, isn't he, from Brighton? So I really, really hope he's another one that we do make permanent, because I don't know. He's the new Maxwell Cornet for me at the minute.
Yeah, never fall in love with a lone player. It's happening again. Murphy Brown, who, by the way, mate, that profile picture is very weird, but I'll still read your comment out. He says, Joe, stop bragging, mate. I'm not bragging. It's not. I've done it before. I've been on. It's just a podcast. I've been on it before. It's nothing special. I just don't want to mention it, the company name on here, because it's a gambling firm, and I'm not sure how that goes down on YouTube. I'll look into it and stuff, because some people just have sponsors that are gambling firms, so it probably doesn't affect anything. Yeah, Bob Hull says, can't find that jacket in Primark. Yeah, it made me laugh, because people earlier were saying he's very humble, and he is very humble, but I've never seen a humble man wear a $4,500 jacket before, and Nathan sourced that, because I said, that's a nice jacket. 20 minutes later, $4,500, mate. Yeah, you're not going to find it in Primark, mate. But yeah, Nathan, your thoughts on Sarmiento and any other standouts that maybe you want to discuss as well, please, mate?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't really remember much of him from Saturday, and I don't think he had too much of an impact. But I don't know whether that was sort of his job, was to be that person that plays it. It's sort of, I don't know if it was like a false 10 position. I've just pulled that out my backside, but like it felt like he was playing a false 10 position just to sort of have them overloads going forward. And I would like to see Sammy in sort of a similar sort of vein to Anthony, just have more shots. Like he gets the ball in places, and I think someone mentioned it that he's really good with his feet, with the ball at his feet in close quarters, but he never seems to sort of get that shot away. And he had the chance on Tuesday night a few times to try and get a shot away, and he just never seemed to manage it. But overall, I think he's a solid performer, and you can see why Brighton have bought him. You can see where Brighton think he could get to. I just think he just hasn't settled somewhere to develop, and if he can do that with us long term, then yeah, I'm up for that. But I think another performer. I think we have to talk about Josh Loren. I know we're running out of time a little bit, but we have to talk about Josh Loren because all the rhetoric from Stoke fans is that he's shit. He never needs to darken their door again, and he should, he needs to be chased at Stoke with a pitchfork. But like he's a class above for me. He's quality. He was so good on Saturday. He was so calm. He was so progressive. He was so dominant in every challenge. And like I say, the composure just to knock it back for Jay's goal as well were brilliant. And he deserved
his old club. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
lose their head and try and go for goal, but no, like you said, brilliant composure.
Yeah, he just looks so good. And like I say, he's such a. I think him and Cullen are sort of becoming our almost like crucial pairing. I'd say. I think they complement each other so well in terms of one going, one sitting, and sort of looking after each other in midfield. And I think I'd say he's the first name on the team sheet for me, followed by Cullen. He really, really is. He's that impactful going in this league, and like I say, he's a canny operator at a championship level. Like I say, he knows how to mix it about a bit. He's not just sort of a decent footballer. He knows how to put it about a bit and put a challenge in and track back when he needs to. So at the minute, Josh Loren's sort of a standout player for me, and he's just sort of crucial in our lineup.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love Josh Loren, and it's interesting that you mentioned them Stoke comments there because there was this brilliant piece of journalism from the local Stoke newspaper that I will just quickly put on screen now when I quickly get rid of that. And this is from an actual paid journalist. That cruise to the finish line from that point was a painful reminder of the gulf between where Stoke are to Burnley, let alone where they really want to be. No one can really say they didn't already know it before kickoff, but no one needed it sticking down their throats like this, complete with former captain gormlessly dancing in front of the away end as if he had scored the winner at a World Cup final. Like, I've never had a bad issue with any, Stoke fans. The lad I got on from the other podcast, the Stoke podcast, was decent. I've done stuff with Stoke fans before. I feel this thing about Josh Loren though is so bizarre. Like they just suddenly. I know sometimes you dislike former players, but I don't understand what he's done other than leave to go to a different club. Like the way he left, as far as I'm aware, is completely fine. The way he celebrated, yes, he didn't do anything over the top. He didn't, in my opinion, do something that he shouldn't have done. It was just all a bit bizarre, and that is absolutely. It just. I said it on Twitter. It just sounds incredibly bitter, incredibly pathetic. It's just embarrassing, as Andrew says, salty. I couldn't agree more. That's exactly what it is.
The way they talked about it, it was like he'd done an Adebayor. You know what I mean? It was like he'd bombed the full length of the pitch and stuck an E-slide right in front of whichever their half-empty stand was there singing. And it's like, I don't get what the beef were, but like one of my best mate, he's a Reading fan. He lives in Reading, and Josh Loren was on loan at Reading. He won Player of the Year there. Like, they proper fell in love with a lone player, and they cannot speak highly enough of the player, the man. The name, like he ticked all the boxes for them. He's a class act on the pitch, class act off it, and Reading fans the way they speak about him is like one of their best ever players in recent memory. So obviously they're having a pretty crap time anyway. But yeah, for Stoke to get so bitter about a player that they have, like we got him for 500 grand, like. You can barely buy. I don't know what you can buy for that in football these days. But 500 grand for Josh Loren, you're mad. If I was Stoke fans, I probably would be pissed off that we sold him for that cheap.
Yeah, but they wanted to sell him to Stoke fans at the time. They were saying that we'd been robbed, not the other way around.
Yeah.
Bizarre. Anyway, we always like to discuss controversial decisions on the show. There wasn't any. There was the penalty. It was a Stonewaller.
Yeah.
So we will quickly mention it. That is the moment. This is the moment where contact is made. You can't see anything thanks to that dickhead in the way. So I've moved the still on a little bit there. I know pictures don't do it justice before somebody says, "Oh, it's a picture. What do you want me to do?" I can't put video up that's official highlights. But any complaints at the time from anybody? Not that you'd complain because you're a Burnley fan. Andrew, I'll start with you on this one. But Stonewaller, yeah?
Yeah, it's a pen. Like, there's no argument against it. He goes into the box, he's stripped. Like, I don't see how there could be an argument against it. It's blatant penalty. Yeah.
Yeah, I assume you agree, Nathan. Everyone in the
Yeah,
comments, assume you all agree.
There's no fog, there's no snow, there's no rain. It's a penalty every day of the week, that one. So
yeah, 100% a penalty, easily a penalty. Definitely a penalty. Yeah, to be fair, I do think he went down with a dramatic fall, but again, that as Claret and Blue 1882 says, it does throw it, but there's definite contact, and that's all that matters.
In fairness,
go on, Andrew, sorry,
if it was raining, it wouldn't have been.
Yeah. The weatherman speaks. Obviously, a pen says Twin Cities Clarets. Wind was out of the south stand. There you go. Wind was out of the south, and the barometric whatever pressure was dropping. John Faulkner says Cullen knows how to buy a free kick penalty. Yeah, I do agree with that. We should have had two though. That's another thing. Like Anthony gets his shot away with that one, so I don't really think it was. No. You two agree? I think the referee got that one right as well.
Yeah, if you're a keeper, you've done everything you need to do, which is, effectively put the attacker off, and he's still got his shot away, and it's just they call it in F1, don't they? They just call it a racing incident, don't they? It's just a footballing incident. It's just they bump together.
You can tell Grand Prix's been on today.
I know. That's just all it were. It's just a footballing incident. There's not more to it than that. That one, we had one Stonewaller and one that just wasn't a penalty any day of the week. I'd be annoyed if that was the other way around and that was given against us. I'd be throwing stuff at the TV because it was just
Yeah, fair enough. Man of the match shouts then, please, lads. We've already spoken about the guy that I would choose, so I'll quickly get it in there straight away. I thought Sarmiento was brilliant. I thought he played quite well. I'm just looking at his rating actually on SofaScore to see he got Jaden Anthony got a 6.2 as well. Like, I know ratings can be hard work and don't really reflect. But I'm just looking at the ratings now on SofaScore. Sarmiento was the second worst Burnley player on the pitch, apparently. For me, he was the only one that was driving, the only one that was trying to make things happen. I wouldn't have taken him off when I did. That was my only criticism. It worked in the end, to be fair, but that was my only criticism yesterday. I didn't like this. I didn't like that substitution when he took Sarmiento and Jay off. I remember thinking, this could go wrong. Thankfully, it didn't. He brought Brownhill on and Fleming, and Brownhill got the penalty, and I thought Fleming did all right, to be fair. So that's why I'm sat here and Scott Parker's wearing a $4.5 grand coat. But Sarmiento, for me, I think looking at the comments, it's going to be pretty much one-way traffic. It's not actually. It's starting to differ a little bit. But Nathan, I'll start with you. Your man of the match, please, mate.
My heart says Josh Loren for the sort of romantic back to your old team and sort of giving it against them. But I think I just think Josh Cullen. I think he's so. I said it years ago on the pod. Like, no Cullen, no party. Like, if Cullen plays well, we're successful, and it doesn't matter who's the manager. And he was back. I felt he was back to his best on Saturday. Like, really, really back to his best. He was everything we need him to be, which were calm, collected. Passing was spot on. And he just, like say, he didn't take any nonsense either. And he doesn't get silly bookings. He doesn't, he just seems to tick all the boxes. He gives you a 7.5, 8 for me. And I think, Josh Cullen, he gets it for me.
Yeah, fair enough. I did think that was going to be the majority of people's votes. Andrew, your vote, please, for man of the match.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who I've said on my fan reaction, but I'm sat here thinking, I honestly think it's someone who's no one's mentioned. I think Connor Roberts did absolutely brilliant yesterday. I think Like, he's been starting to do well last few games, but yesterday I thought was one of his best games going forward and defensively. Yeah, I am going to go for Connor Roberts because I've given him some stick myself over the last couple of seasons as well, and he has really pulled his finger out. So yeah, I'm going for Roberts.
Fair enough. I do think he played well yesterday, to be fair.
He did. Really well.
Man of the match was Cullen, says Fred. Controlled the game, he goes on to say. Will Varley says Cullen. Man of the match, 12-man away support, says Scott. Also, that away end was the best away end I've been involved in this season, to be fair. It was brilliant. I did miss Luton and I did miss Bristol City, though. Yeah, that were a brilliant away end. That one of the best I've been in for a while. The fact that they've moved that away end to the corner makes it so much better, because obviously the away end at Stoke used to be all the way in the left near the tunnel, and I don't know, I think maybe the sound got lost or something, because that's where the stadium opens up a bit. I don't know, but I always like corner away ends. It's the same at Brentford. I've never had a good experience at Brentford, by the way. I've been twice and Cinders lose on aggregate 5-0, but the away end's always decent at the start. I always like cornered away ends. I don't know why. It just feels like you're all sort of like surrounding each other. And the singing's easier to sort of like control, whereas sometimes when you're like miles away, say like at Ewood, it's that we've got one pocket at the stand singing one thing, one pocket singing another thing. So I did enjoy that. It was a really good away day yesterday. Sui says, Loren for me against his old team can be hard for players, but he looks solid. Traff has to get it 1 week. To be fair to Traff, I've already given Traff an honourable mention. I have spoken about him. I thought he did very well yesterday, but he's made one save and claimed a lot of crosses, to be fair. Like, if we were hanging on and he has to make loads of saves, then I think I might have given it Trafford after the Leeds match, to be fair. So he might have got it 1 week. But he did do enough to get the man of the match yesterday. But what he had to do when he was called upon, he did very, very well.
Trafford's doing what he should be doing, which in a team that's pushing to the top end, you just want your keeper to just, like say, be an 8 every game. Just save your shots you need to, claim your crosses, and just tick away. Like, don't get man of the match stuff. If you're getting man of the match performance as a keeper, it means you've absolutely been battered in the game.
Yeah, fair enough. Jeremy Sarmiento says Paul Booth. Claret and Blue says not sure who my man of the match. Quite a few good performances yesterday. Probably Cullen. Is Cullen Burnley's Rodri? Says new name. Potentially, mate. I think potentially. I don't think we rely on him as much. But just because they're shite now, more than anything. Loren says, Doc, can we get a mention for Vitinho winning the Copa? Not as good as scoring at Luton, though. You know what, mate? Fair play to him. And I did put a tweet out about it, but people would just give me shit saying, "Oh, he left. What do you care? Like, he left the way he left." Like,
did you watch
it's good to see certain players. No, I didn't watch it. I was working, but it's good to see him do well. It's good to see him do well.
He was on BBC Three, and every time he come on, I was like, Vitinho, because genuinely, he is one of the ones who left who I'm gutted about leaving. Like,
I was at the time.
In this team.
I was at the time, but I feel like we've got decent fullbacks now. I'm not saying they're better than Vitinho, but I think Robertson and Perez, who started life well, but then had a bit of a slow start, but then has come back again. I think he's done well. Parachute payments man of the match, says Harry. So obviously that's going off Ben Gibson's salty comments yesterday. We're pretty much done there in terms of the full-time show, but just because Kieran mentioned it, and I know some other, I don't think Kieran's here anymore, but I'm going to do it anyway. The allocation for the Rovers tickets came out this week. The club announced that Burnley will be getting just over, I think it was 4,000. It was. So Blackburn have done the dirty trick again that they do, where they refuse to give us the full 7,000. I think it holds 7,500. They've refused to give it us all. That's despite giving Leeds 7,000 yesterday, and despite giving Sunderland 7,000 the week before Burnley go. And if you talk to a Blackburn fan online, then they will say, "Oh, it's because you only give us 2,000." Well, when you go to Leeds, you only get about 2,500 because that's all their away and holds. I think it might be a little bit more. I can't remember, but they don't give you 7,000. Sunderland don't give you 7,000 as well. So it's obviously a non-argument, really. It's just bastard fans being horse fiddling weirdos and just saying stuff for the sake of saying stuff online. But thought Nathan, I'll start with you on this one. Thoughts on the ticket system? It's better than last time, so I'm not overly annoyed as much this time because at least it's not a ballot. Oh shit!
No,
it's not
I
a
know.
ballot, but it's still scummy from them. But you expect nothing less.
It is shitty, yeah. Like I say, I'd understand if sort of Rovers were, filling the stadium. I'd understand it. I would understand it. I would rather have more home fans than away fans. But
Yeah,
in the time where they are genuinely on the brink of financial sort of independence day, like they are in the middle of an implosion in the next 12 months, like surely every little helps. Like I would be happy at them giving us 7,000, well, call it 6,500 to make for that pathetic netting to stop everybody pretending like they want to fight each other. Like, I would be happy if they went, yeah, you can have 7,000, 50 quid a ticket. Like, you'd make money hand over fist. Every single Burnley fan would pay 50 quid a ticket. They'd be annoyed about it, but they'd still pay it. So I don't know why they don't just go, right, I tell you what, you can have the whole away end, but we're going to make a load of money off you. So what? I'd love to get a 7,000 there watching it. We've all paid 50 quid to watch Brothers will batter them at their place. It's frustrating because you want these derbies to be the best they possibly can be.
That's my point.
Yeah. And like I said, we give them everything. Like if we could give them the whole of the cricket field stand, we would do, and we have done in the past. It's only because we have season ticket holders in there now, and we give the minimum requirement of our percentage of our ascendant, our stadium. So, but that still makes a good thing, and it's not a policing issue. It just really isn't, because if it was a policing issue, we wouldn't be allowed to make our own way there.
Yeah, Lancashire Police said last time it's not a policing issue.
No,
it's just Rovers being Rovers.
Yeah.
It's not a policing issue.
Yeah, Lancashire Police came out and said we have had no indication on this fixture allocation. They're just
unless
advising.
They've changed it this time, because I completely disagree. I don't think it is. And
it's not police advice.
It wasn't last time. I think you've fallen into the trap of Blackburn fans giving you the lies there, lads. If I'm wrong, I'll hold my hands up. But I agree with Fred. This derby, it's one of what was only 3 bubble games left, like 3, 4, 5 years ago. The hatred in this derby should be something that we celebrate. And the derby, not the hatred, that's wrong, but the rivalry between the clubs should be something we celebrate. And we should look to make this derby look as good as possible on TV. And at Turf Moor, it does. But Blackburn met the rivalry look shit, and people have a shit opinion on this rivalry now because of their antics, because of the way. And I know Blackburn fans would have never appreciated what the sentence that I'm about to say, but could you imagine the scenes that would have gone viral when that Benson winner went in? If you could see the Burnley fans just going sit behind the goal and all piling on top of each other like you could for that Ings goal and the Arfield goal all them years ago. It would have been 10 times that, but they're ruining the rivalry. No, not the rivalry, the derby. They're ruining the derby, and it doesn't look as good anymore. And people have a shit opinion on it because they look at it and think, tin pot derby, that. And
people piss and moan at these pathetic Twitter little graphics come up, and it's like best rivalries in England. And Burnley and Blackburn aren't even on them anymore now. Like, because I think it looks like we can't even take Sunderland can take 7,000 to Rovers. But yet, it looks like we can't get enough to get up for the Blackburn game to go to like 5 junctions down 65. It diminishes the product. I say that's God, it sounds like such a Tory saying that, but
you sounded like an American. Then you sounded like an American shareholder, mate.
But it does. It like proper takes like the sting out of it, I think, a little bit, and it can't be a good derby, I don't think. It's frustrating, but what can you do?
Andrew, your take on it, mate?
It's just pathetic, innit? It's just pathetic. Like, I saw this probably the most sensible Rovers fan I've ever seen on Twitter. Like, put something on where they said, "This is ridiculous. Why would we not give them as many as we could? It's ruining the derby." And because they don't fill their own ground, and they will have so many empty seats, how many Burnley fans are going to be able to get tickets in their end? If this was police advice, which I know that they won't, it won't be. But if this was police advice, it's stupid because so many Burnley fans are going to get tickets to sit in the home end, and it's just going to cause more issues. Just give us the full stand. I don't know if you saw the picture at Leeds fans there yesterday. Like, it looked sick.
Yeah, it looked class.
Why would you not give us the whole stand and make it look like a proper derby? Plus, like Nathan says, they're on their arse for money. They need the money.
Yeah. They could have the last laugh of us. They could charge us 50 quid a ticket and we'd still pay it. Like I would. I'd cough up 50 quid as much as it'd boil my piss doing so. But I'd pay 50 quid to go watch the Burnley Blackburn game, and they could sell out and make a crap load of money off us. So like I really don't understand the logic, because it isn't police advice by any stretch of the imagination. Just like not at all. Because if it was, we'd be still stuck on them stupid buses, getting ferried in like criminals for absolutely no reason whatsoever. But it's not. It's just pettiness at its sort of pettiest level, really. And it won't make a jot of a difference on the pitch. You know what I mean?
No. But yeah, the scramble for tickets starts next week, or not the scramble if you are a platinum membership member, because you just scroll up and you pay, you skip the queue. I don't have any issue, by the way, because I did put a little thing up on Twitter saying, "Oh, if you're a platinum member, you can jump the queue." I don't have an issue with people buying it. I have an issue with the club putting it out there as an option. That's where my issue lies. I don't have any. People are going to buy it because they want to jump to the front of the queue. I considered it because I wanted an Oxford ticket for that, and then I sat back and I remember thinking, no, shut up. If you don't go, you don't go. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, the scramble for tickets starts the Monday, not tomorrow. Obviously, the Monday after. So I've got enough points. My dad doesn't. So we'll have to see what happens with that one. He's in the bracket after. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there then, lads, unless there's anything else that I've missed that maybe any of you two want to quickly bring up.
No, all good my end.
No, just ask Murphy to change that picture, because that's creepy as fuck.
That's a restraining order coming there, mate. A definite restraining order.
Now, mate. Now you've acknowledged it.
Yeah.
I don't know him at all, but it seems like the type that'll be sat there laughing now.
Pure
What can I do next?
Baby reindeer vibes here. Massive reindeer vibes.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll leave that there. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming on the show. Thank you to Andrew. Thank you to Nathan. Always a pleasure to have the boys on. It's good to see you back, Nathan. After so long away from the live shows. Fingers crossed we see you. But see what I mean, Andrew? You've done it now. It'll be outside your bedroom window tonight, mate. You've done it now. You've absolutely done it. You shouldn't have mentioned it, mate. But yeah, obviously, some of you, I did see some comments coming in saying I've joined the stream late. What have I missed, sort of thing. If you did join the stream late, when I press end stream, of course, it stays on YouTube and on Facebook for you to watch back at your leisure. And as soon as I press end stream again, I will be uploading the podcast to all the usual places for you to listen to either tonight, in the morning, on the way to work. But we will be doing a pre-game show for the Middlesbrough game. I've already got a Middlesbrough fan that I will be talking to, and I'm recording it as early as tomorrow, but I won't be putting it out till the same time as well. Yes, I do, Murphy. If you scroll up, if you've got a mouse that works, you'll be able to find somebody that says, "Sorry, mate, I was late." And any more from you, I'm blocking you. I'm not really. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Murphy Brown, change your picture. We'll see you all next time.